The 2021 Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin, has enjoyed a stellar inaugural season. Canadian sports car fans have witnessed a dominating run by Team Multimatic, with Marco Signoretti piloting their Mustang in GT4 competition. The highly competitive TC Canada class has enjoyed a tight-knit battle between Montour, Hill, and the Atrell clan. Today, we crown champions here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Welcome to the CASC celebration of motorsport. This is the 12th and final event of the 2021 FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin season. And fall has arrived here at the legendary home for motorsport in Canada. I'm Dave Bradley, along with Canadian Motorsport Hall of Famer Robin Buck and future Hall of Famer Todd Lewis is trackside somewhere, swimming amongst the dense fog that has taken over here at the old Motorsport facility. Robin, welcome to the broadcast, our final show of the year.
Thanks, Dave, and good thing, because next I can see that maybe we're going to get a little bit of snow, and even though Michelin makes an excellent snow tire, I don't think the drivers really want to run on a snow tire in these conditions.
Would be tricky for sure. Marco Signoretti has all but secured the GT4 championship this season. And looking at the TC Canada points standing after 11 races, Travis Hill has a stout 27-point lead over Quebec's LP Montour. Nick Loymans is in third. With more on that points battle, here's Todd.
Guys, of course, everybody's looking to win the final race of the year. Travis Hill in the 26 car is a 5-time winner already this season, but he's also looking bigger picture. He'd like to have another victory, but he definitely wants the first ever SCCC championship, and the team and he have done the math. If he finishes 7th or better, it makes no difference what LP Montour does. He will be the championship winner for 2021.
It's that point in the season where you're not necessarily worried about winning, you're worried about those points, worried about a consistent finish.
Absolutely, and I think Travis is going to look big picture. He wants a championship. Yeah, it's great to win a race, but big picture, let's go for the championship.
And there you can see a solid field of cars lined up here on the pit road here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. The engines have fired and the field begins to roll. As you can see, the first GT4 car, that's Marco Signoretti leading them out. Now here is the TC Canada class, and we'll explain the differences between the two cars as the race goes on here today. But it will be a challenge. You look at this fog that has settled in over this racetrack as we take a look at the full starting lineup here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And we know that Marco Signoretti set quick time in that 22. He'll start alongside LP Montour in the 45. Marco Cerrone with a new number, the 39 here today. Bob Atrell behind the wheel of the 88. Then we look back to row number 3. That's where we find your points leader in the TC Canada class, Travis Hill. And one of the Quawks, Tom Quawk, starting outside row 3. Nick Loymans and Quinn Atrell in row number 4. Then row 5 has Gary Quawk in the 66, Eddie Colleen in the 37. Connor Atrell is in the 80. Fareed Ali is in the 59. That is row number 6. And looking back to row number 7, we find Mac Clark back behind the wheel of the 84. And Gilles Nadeau in the 61, another GT4 competitor here today. But racing in this sort of fog, it happens here in the hills of Clarington region of Ontario from time to time. How difficult is it?
Well, at this stage, it's not too bad. You lose a little bit of depth perception, but I think the guys can see flag station to flag station. That's always critical.
And with more on today's conditions, let's go down to Todd.
That's right, guys. You talked about the conditions, and you can see that fog is very thick at times. However, the track is dry. Drivers on slicks, all competitors up and down pit lane, however, brought rain tires as well. They're prepared just in case conditions do change in this 40-minute race.
And that's another variable that comes into play here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as we take a look at the Hyundai race analysis. A 40-minute timed race works out to about 100 kilometers. But this is a tricky 3.9 kilometer 10-turn circuit.
It absolutely is, and you don't want to make any mistakes, especially on a track like this where there are some patches that are wet and it can be very slick. So staying on line is going to be critical.
See the field trying to build some heat into those Michelin tires as they prepare for the drop of the green flag. The pace car will pull off into pit lane. Marco Signoretti in that GT4 Ford Mustang will lead him through turns 9 and 10. They'll be on the front straightaway on the exit of turn 10. They will see the green flag once the field bunches up. And it's Gloria Eng with the wave of the green, and we are underway, headed for turn number 1. You can see everybody being a little careful there through turn number 1, but look at LP Montour in the 45, looking each way, inside and out, around the GT4 of Marco Signoretti.
He definitely wants to make a move, I think, show that the TC cars can compete with the GT car, at least for a lap or two.
Right on board, Gary Kwok in the 66. Look at how just close they get, working their way through turn number 4. Few wet spots up into turn 5. You can see a wiggle out of second place in Montour. That allows the 88 of Atrell to close up just a little bit, but look at the drive Montour gets out of that front-wheel drive Volkswagen Golf GTI.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got the heat in the tires a little bit higher than what Marco does in the Mustang, but take him a lap or two for Marco to really start to show what that car's got in it.
Yeah, the wet really making it the ultimate equalizer here, isn't it? Allowing those TC Canada cars to close up. Absolutely.
Tire temperature right now, beginning a race, is critical for these guys. And I think LP and Bob have really got their tires up to operating temperature a little bit quicker than Marco has.
Remember, Bob finished on the podium the last 2 races we had here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And he's in a hurry to get to the top step of the podium in the TC Canada class, second overall, as he chases the current driver in that position, the 45 of LP Montour.
Yeah, we have a little bit of youth and a little bit of experience there. And look at LP just showing that he's not giving up.
Don't count out the 39, Marco Cironi, running a different number, as we mentioned off the top of the show here today. Running the 39 after a best line team member who passed away. That team member used to run the 39 on his car, so Marco thought it would be a great honor to run that number here today.
Yeah, very, very tight family, Motorsport family.
Yeah, very much. And that best line team, it's a group that's been together for so many years as well. As you can see, one of the Honda Civics on pit lane. I believe that's Tom Kwok in the 55. He did have a little bit of damage to the nose of that car down the Andretti straightaway. You saw the hood popping up just a little bit. So Pierce Zell repairs complete, and he'll rejoin the field. Tough to pit, though, on a sprint race, a 40-minute timed race, and the clock is ticking. It doesn't wait for anybody.
No, it doesn't. But the only thing that might save him is a full course caution if he didn't go down a lap.
With battles as tight as they have been in the TC Canada class, you never know when one could happen as we ride on board with your overall race leader behind the wheel of the 22, Marco Signoretti, out front. The 12th and final race of the 2021 Sports Car Championship Canada Series, presented by Michelin, is brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward. By FAF, for the love of the road. And by Hyundai. Listen to this sound as Marco Cironi at top song at the end of the Andretti straightaway. Quick downshift into turn number 8. Now the draft does make a difference in those TC Canada cars. They punch a pretty big hole, don't they?
They do, and you want to make sure that you're close enough to benefit from the draft, and who knows, maybe a late break into 8 can change a position or two.
There you can see the top 4 still very close at the front of the field, but look at these battles a little bit deeper in the field. There's the 15 of Nick Bloymans in the Audi, and a couple of the Hyundais, Connor and Quinitrell, giving chase and keeping them honest.
Yeah, they're not giving up an inch, are they?
Not at all, but you can see if you do get offline just a little bit, not fully dry. We've talked about it a couple of times already, so you want to make sure to hit your marks. Connor Trell in the 80, just ahead of the 86 of Quinitrell, and they look like identical cars. They are not identical cars. Connor Trell in the Hyundai Veloster N, and Quinitrell driving the i30. Both are a little bit older to the version that Bobitrell is running at the front of the field. Bobitrell actually in a brand new Elantra N.
And it's showing. He's got some great speed there at the back straight, and maybe he can take advantage of the draft. Who knows?
Those two Trells glued together, though, down this straightaway, headed for turn number 8. We'll see if the 86 of Quinitrell ducks. He looks to the outside, potentially putting a run together for turn number 9. He doesn't do it that time. He'll stay in line behind the Audi of Nick Loymans in the Shopify prepared car out of the TWOth Motorsports team. Travis Hill just ahead of them as well, and Hill, your points leader, coming into this one, and he's doing exactly what you said, just taking it easy, just hitting his marks, staying in his position, doing exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, he doesn't want to risk anything at this point. Going offline, you don't know how damp the track's going to be. You could get yourself in a bit of trouble, so he's doing the right thing.
Because we know that Travis Hill, based on past experience here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, is definitely a car to be reckoned with as this battle is heating up now. Loymans appeared to make a misstep on the exit of turn number 3, and that allows the door to open for a short period of time. Connor Trell poked a nose but had to back out because Quinitrell was right there as well. Now look at the drive. The Hyundai gets off at turn 5.
Let's see if he can use the draft to his advantage.
Every bit of these 350 horsepower being used in these 4-cylinder turbocharged front-wheel drive cars, but it's very different. If you're jumping up from the karting ranks, for example, and you get behind the wheel in something like this, it's a challenge, isn't it?
It is. You've got weight transfer, you've got more power. Yeah, it can be a handful, but at the same time, these young drivers today, with the simulators that they can practice on, are typically right up to speed very, very quickly.
Is that something you see often, that some of the younger drivers are like, I've done this virtually, not necessarily hands-on?
Yeah, absolutely, and some of them are very, very quick. Matt Clark, for instance, young guy, 17 years old, great driver, you know, come out of the Formula ranks, being put into a sedan and has done exceptionally well. And I'm very impressed with his abilities, and we'll see. And we've got the two Trell brothers here, and hopefully we'll see a pass, hopefully.
Yeah, Matt Clark, as you mentioned, currently sitting inside the top 10, running in 9th spot. And look at this, we're going to fan out on the exit of turn 5, and Trell might have boxed himself in because it's the 86 of Quinitrell who has the run up on the outside. Side by side, Connor Trell has the benefit of the draft of the Audi in front of him, and it will pull him through into turn number 8. You can tell the difference of the two cars based on the red nose and the blue nose from afar in this foggy atmosphere here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You almost have to squint at times.
Maybe they need to be running lights.
Boy, this is the battle to watch, though. As we should mention, Marco Signoretti continues to open up a bit of a gap on the rest of the field. And the number 22 Multimatic Motorsports prepared GT4 LP Montour currently holds second on the racetrack, first in the TC Canada class. There is LP Montour in the Volkswagen. There's Bobitrell. And the 88, he's running 3rd overall, 2nd in class. Marco Cerrone will round out the current podium positions for the TC Canada class on board Bobitrell.
think Bob just has to be super smooth, be consistent, and he should get a really good result today.
Shifting is so easy. Watch his hand. It's just a little blip of the fingers on the back of the steering wheel.
And no more shifters. Don't have to row through the gearbox like we used to have to.
And make mistakes that way too, right? It eliminates a lot of errors. So Trell continues to try and chase down the Volkswagen for lead in class in the TC Canada class. We'll be back with more from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Welcome back to the 12th and final round of the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin. Battle for 6th position is not cooling off. No space between these three cars. Nick Loymans in the Audi leads this group with a pair of Hyundais giving chase. Connor and Quinn Trell just tucked in behind. What I love about these front-wheel drive cars is when they really start pounding the curbs. You can see the back tire lift up. They're just so tightly sprung, and they're getting everything they can out of these cars.
Yeah, those front wheels work very, very hard. And in fact, we'll see them lifting a rear wheel off on some of the corners, especially when they get on the curbs. You'll see them three-wheel.
Super impressive when you come and see them in live action. Also impressive here on TSN. As you can see, Matt Clark buzz by there. He's racing by himself, trying to lay down some quick lap times to catch these three cars who are now starting to move around and start fighting each other. And that is the 39 of Marco Cerrone. Remember how far up in the field he was? Well, he's got company. It's Gary Kwok who managed to chase him down and move around fairly quickly. So the Honda Civic moves through. The number 66 is now in 4th overall, as the 39 appears to have some sort of problem.
And Gary is moving. He's really put some good laps together here.
And the Quocks, both Gary and Tom, have run off and on throughout the season in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada Series. And something interesting that we should bring up is Operation Motorsport. Now, this is an initiative brought in with the folks from FEL, but also Operation Motorsport. They get veterans who come back from military service and help integrate them into the world of motorsports. It's because they encourage teams to bring on the veterans, and it provides them with a team environment that's now missing from the veterans' lives. As a matter of fact, FEL has brought on Operations Motorsport vet Darren Scott to the tech team, and TWOth Motorsport has Theo as an engineer, Mel in hospitality, Mark in the tire tech department, Brock does tires and fuel, and Hunter works in the TWOth Shopify store. So it's a really cool initiative.
It is. It's great to see that you know, motorsport can give back to the veterans. They've put their lives on the line for us, and you know, they come back out of service and they need to do something, and this is a great way to integrate them back into what we do as racers and have a lot of fun, because there is a lot of family atmosphere involved in motorsport.
Yeah, it's very much like a team on the battlefield that you have supporting you in the military. You've got a team in the pits that are supporting the drivers on the track, but supporting each other as well. So it's a great environment for them to come back to.
It is.
Speaking of great, this battle for 7th on back is not cooling off. As we mentioned, Loymans in the Shopify Audi ahead of the two Hyundais as we ride on board Quinn Trell once again. Up through the gears, down the straightaway.
And this is what makes this series so great, so competitive, is the balance of power, that you can get different makes this competitive, this close in their running.
And it's really up to mistakes, isn't it? It's now Connor Trell goes through in the 30, but the door closed for Quinn Trell to come through in the 86, unable to make that move. Now looking in turn number 10, and Leumans will keep that door closed in the Audi. So now it's a Hyundai sandwich with an Audi in the middle into turn number 1. But look at how quickly Connor Trell is able to open up about a 10-car length lead on the 15 of Nick Leumans.
Yeah, it is super competitive, and yeah, Nick's going to have his mirrors full for a few laps.
And Connor is brand new this season in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. Not only that, brand new to Motorsports. This is his very first year behind the wheel of a race car. Talking to Bob before the season started, he said it was always a dream to race with his 2 sons. And he said the pandemic really sort of sped things up. He realized that, you know what, maybe you shouldn't really wait around for things to happen. So he wanted to make it happen. And that's exactly what he did this season.
Yeah, and Bob's a very forward-thinking individual, and he had the ability to get his sons involved in the same series he runs in, and he's done an excellent job, and there they are.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago that some of the major players in the Canadian road racing world got together and said, what can we do to make things better? And with that came the SCCC, headed by Chris By. Earlier we spoke to Chris, got his reaction to the first season and his hope for the future.
Yeah, I think the fact that we have the biggest grids of the year here at the last race with 14 sports cars and 15 radicals really speaks to the success of 21. We're super excited with what we've been able to achieve during a global pandemic. The teams have been very supportive, and we're just finishing the first of a 3-year commitment with Michelin. So yeah, we're excited for 2022. All the teams are coming back, and there's lots of talk for some new cars.
Especially looking forward to having a few more GT4 cars in competition for 2022.
Yeah, I've heard that Mercedes, there's a Mercedes that's probably going to enter in, and then another Mustang or 2. So hopefully the GTs will grow and be super competitive.
And you have an interesting role with the FEL Motorsports Group and this series as well.
Yes, I'm a co-sporting director along with Peter Lockhart and Martin Waugh. It's been very interesting for the 3 of us to kind of see how the series operates and be that buffer between the teams, the competitors, and the series, and make it all work.
Almost like being negotiators between the drivers in the series.
We have been on a few occasions.
But as long as it keeps everybody happy, keeps cars on the racetrack, that is all that matters, because then they're able to put on a great show like the one we're watching here. Once again, it is still the 86 of Quebec and the 15 of Nick Leumans, still nose to tail. As now the 80 has really opened up. That is your overall race leader in the Multimatic GT4, Marco Signoretti. You remember the last time they came here to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Multimatic fielded 2 cars, and Signoretti kept on us the entire time. This time, no heat on his back bumper. Welcome back to the Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin. I'm Dave Bradley. Along with me in the booth is Canadian Motorsport Hall of Famer Robin Buck, and trackside is Todd Lewis for us here today. And again, this is one of the best battles, but as these 2 cars race, you can see other battles are starting to form as Connor Trell starts to close the gap on Travis Hill, and he doesn't want any company.
Not really. I think he would prefer to have the track all to himself, just focus on what he has to do. But again, you know, Travis has matured as a driver this season. He's done very well, and I think he'll handle any sort of pressure that's thrown at him right now.
Yeah, he's no stranger to championship sports car racing. Of course, Travis, with 20 years experience racing out of Calabogie Motorsports Park, that is their home track in TWOth Motorsport, or TWOth Autosport, I should say. Trevor Hill turns the wrenches on that team, and they do a wonderful job fielding cars as well for Nick Leumans.
They do. It's a very, very competitive team, very professionally run, as good as any team I've seen in any series at any level.
Riding aboard, you can just see how sometimes these drivers do have to fight that steering wheel. The front-wheel drive cars tend to pull a little bit because you're doing everything with the front wheels. Most of your braking is done with that. Your acceleration is done with that. And, of course, your steering done with the front wheels as well.
It is. Those front wheels work very, very hard. They say on a front-wheel drive, the rear tires, the rear axle's only holding up the back end of the car.
But at this point in the race, the Michelin tires now up to temperature. Is it that precarious if you set foot offline just a little bit because you have that temperature in the tire?
It may not be as bad as when they started the race, but again, you still have to be super careful because tire temperature is very important to keep the balance of the car right throughout the lap.
You can tell that the track is starting to dry up just a little bit. The gap between first and second overall between the 22 of Signoretti and LP Montour is now over 2 seconds, 2.1 seconds back to the second place runner. And then Montour has a 2.3 second gap back to Bob Attrell in third overall, second in class. Pretty comfortable spacing at the front of the field.
Yeah, as a driver, that's what you want. But as a fan, a spectator, you'd like to see them pretty tight like this battle going on right here.
That being said, when you are a driver and you're by yourself, maybe you can't see other drivers, and problems on the 39. We called it a little bit earlier. He was off the pace. Marco Cerrone is out. And we're hearing from Todd Lewis pit side a potential suspension issue on that Audi. So heartbreak for Marco Cerrone, who came into this one fighting up in the points as well, inside the top 10. But mentioning drivers who are by themselves on the racetrack and how they can better themselves. You look at Marco Signoretti, for example. He's so far ahead at this point. How do you keep sharp? How do you keep pushing yourself, especially for a young driver like Marco, who's trying to get better with every lap?
It's interesting because I did talk to Marco about that, and he wanted some pointers. And I said, you know what? If you can be consistent, if you can run off 10 laps in a row, all within a few tenths, then you know that you're getting used to what you're doing. You're hitting all your marks, and that's what you look for in a driver. Somebody that's very consistent. When they're up and down, it's a little bit harder to control their flow and their pace, but when they're consistent, it's something that teams look for in a driver.
Now, do they have something in their car that will tell them the time, the lap time that they're doing, or do they have to rely on the crew as they pass by?
It's a bit of both. Some cars will have it, some will rely on a team.
Ooh, look at that. The 86 got way up on three wheels. Battle for sixth position once again, as Quinn Attrell in the 86 will take a look into turn number 5. Hard under braking, closes the gap, but that door is minuscule and he's unable to fit his way in.
This is a great battle.
What's interesting about these TC Canada cars is you saw the floor pan on the passenger side of Quinn Attrell's car, and it is a factory floor pan. These cars roll off the assembly line.
They do. They're a homologated factory race car, and yeah, they look just like what you would buy off of the showroom floor, except they're race prepared by the factory, and they're super competitive and very high-end vehicles.
Now, for these ones, instead of getting cup holders, they get a racing seat and a window net, and they go racing the Hyundais prepared out of Germany, and then come here to Canada to play at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. LP Montour closing the gap at the front of the field, now under 2 seconds. As you can see, your points leader, Travis Hill, working into lap traffic. And that is going to close the gap behind. Look at that battle, too. Just in behind Loymans and Quinn Attrell. So the lap car might play a role in the outcome of positions here with under 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, in corner 5, too, of all places.
You really have to hope that the lap car leaves you space at that point. Important, though, you can see all mirrors. You have the side mirrors, you have the rear view mirror on the windshield, and these drivers use them frequently, don't they?
Well, you'd hope so, but sometimes drivers don't use their mirrors the way they should.
Ali Farid in the 51 was the driver going a lap down in the Audi, so solid heads-up driving to pull to the outside in a tight turn number 5. And you can see that's a different steering wheel as well from the Atrel's onboards that we saw earlier. That was onboard Travis Hill in the 26.
Yeah, and it's sometimes just driver preference, what type of wheel they like to have.
It's as long as the driver is comfortable. Usually a comfortable driver is a fast driver.
Typically, yes.
However, the fast one right now is Connor Atrell, and again going up on 3 wheels in that Hyundai Veloster N. Quinn Atrell still giving Nick Loymans all he can handle. So there's Travis Hill and Connor Atrell, and there's Nick Loymans and Quinn Atrell. An Audi and a Hyundai. So a little bit difficult to tell them apart in this pea soup of a fog here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park that is actually starting to lift a little bit.
Just a little bit, but you see 2 teams and 2 teams.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how equally these cars are prepared.
Exactly.
Montour still about 1.6 seconds back of your overall race leader in Marco Signoretti. So that's pretty much as close as the TC Canada cars have been able to keep up to the GT4 cars pretty much all season. Signoretti has really had his way. He has yet to lose in that GT4 class all season long.
Yeah, LP is definitely keeping him honest. That's not a big gap, 1.4 seconds. LP's an exceptional little driver. And I say little because he's, you know, one of these drivers that weighs about 135, 40 pounds compared to some of the big guys that are over 200, but he can drive.
Yeah, sure can, and he has experience in GT racing as well as Trans Am. He's raced in TC Canada before. He also tested out a NASCAR Pinty Series car here in 2021, racing at the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. But he's getting every bit he can out of that Volkswagen Golf. Listen, he barely lifts going into turn number 8.
Picture of him in his office there.
Like, he's really not braking that hard through 9 and 10. He's just letting it float.
He is. He's hot on the heels of Marco.
Giving him chase as the leader starts to work more lap traffic just in front. When we return, we'll see more of this battle for the top 2. Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, a 10-turn, 3.9-kilometer road course. It opened back in 1961. It's hosted everything from the Canadian Grand Prix to the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin. As we take a look at these 2 battles in the TC Canada class, again, this is not for class lead, but a little bit deeper in the field. Travis Hill currently running 4th in class. Connor Atrell and the Hyundai running in 5th. And we ride on board Quinn Atrell in 7th, chasing Nick Loymans.
Yeah, this battle has been going on for a while, so we'll see if he can pull a move on him.
It looks like Loymans knows that Atrell is there and able to make a move, because he's sort of driving. He's not blocking, but he's just taking that defensive line, especially into turn number 5.
Absolutely. But he's got to make sure he gets a good run off the corner, or he may get past here.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for Quinn Atrell. Down the back straightaway, up over the hump, and under the Canadian Tire bridge, and headed for turn number 8, side by side. Quinn Atrell with the preferred line down low, but if Loymans wants to, he can force the issue up high. He does not. Backs out and give the spot to Quinn Atrell, now into 7th position, but that battle took really almost 30 minutes to complete.
It did, but Quinn made a great move coming out of 5, got a good run on him.
Interesting, a few of these drivers have made their way up through the karting ranks. As we take a look, LB Montour has caught your overall race leader, and he's brought along Bob Atrell for the party as well. And Marco Signoretti is one of those drivers who works in a coaching role in the karting community. And I understand you have a new role in the karting community as well.
I do. I've been appointed the karting director for CASC, and you know, karting is something very close to my heart because that's what I started in, as a lot of these young guys do, and we're just trying to make it a much better sport for karters coming up through the ranks, and we've got some amazing karters, great drivers. And yeah, we're gonna see what we can do to make things even better for them.
Well, the talent in Canada is thick with the karting experience, and a lot of those drivers, they don't know where to go next, right? They don't know there's a ladder system.
Exactly, and this series, the FEL series, both with the, you know, with the GT cars and the TC Canada cars, it gives them another opportunity to go and get some racing in.
Back at the front, though, look at LP Montour working over your overall race leader. And again, this is something that Marco Signoretti hasn't dealt with all season long. He's really been able to bend the field, open up huge gaps over the course of a 40-minute race. Now under 10 minutes to go, and he's got company in the form of LP Montour and Bob Atrell.
It is. This is very, very interesting because we've got two different classes, yet they're almost identical in their speeds right now.
And they're close enough to be able to draft that GT4 Ford Mustang down this straightaway, but you can see that horsepower, the extra horsepower for Marco Signoretti makes it difficult. Look to the inside, though. Bob Atrell taking advantage in turn number 8. Contact with LP Montour. Montour is off and into the wall. Atrell did a little slide to the inside as well. And Montour obviously angry as he ends up in the wall. And look at Kwok has taken advantage. So move Kwok now into second overall behind Marco Signoretti. Full course caution for the stopped number 45 of LP Montour. But what a turn of events. And you can see and hear LP Montour not pleased. That was in turn number 8. Probably the highest speed turn here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
It is, and you know, that sort of move, you have to be very committed to getting up the inside, because if you aren't, you'll see what happens. Two guys touch it at not a very good place, and obviously poor LP pays the ultimate price by ending up in the tire wall.
And it really doesn't take much of a touch at that point.
We need you out of the car. There's smoke coming from the front. Let's get out. Come on.
And you can see that LP Montour being encouraged to get out of the Volkswagen Golf as it sits stopped on the outside of the racetrack. He doesn't really want to go anywhere. He just wants to sit and be angry for a second. On board. Well, that was a little bit more than a rub.
Yeah, poor LP.
Yeah, they couldn't get it slowed down in time. The asphalt runoff area does help to scrub some speed. Quick look at the mirror there, but Atrell was already there. Now on board with Bob Atrell.
It needs to be a little further up.
And Atrell has to go full lock to the outside there. He does a double tank slapper, and that allows the 66 of Kwok to move by. And you might see Kwok poke his nose, not quite there, but got past on the front straightaway. But the cleanup now for the stricken number 45. That was a pretty hard hit. A tire wall, yes, but a hard hit for the 45.
Yeah, very, very disappointing for LP. He was driving very, very well. Bob was there. I just don't think Bob was up far enough to really make it stick, so to speak.
From contending for the overall win to in the tire wall. Continuing under caution for the cleanup of the number 45 of LP Montour in turn number 8. There's a good look at your overall race leader, Marco Signoretti, who was coming under pressure from LP Montour and Bob Atrell in the lead up to that caution period. So that makes it even more frustrating for LP Montour.
Yeah, LP, has been driving very, very well today, and showed that he can compete right at the very front, no problem. On another note, it's Marco's birthday today. I think he turns 24. I can't even remember that far back when I was 24. But he's done very well today. He hasn't put a wheel wrong, hasn't done anything. He's going to be great for Canadian motorsport. He's the youth that we have coming up. And I just see nothing but a great future for Marco.
Champion of the Nissan Micra Cup in 2019. And with under 3 minutes to go here, we're still under this full course caution. Possibly not even enough time to get this car race restarted again under green. So we may end this one under caution at this point. Still waiting for the official word from the FEL Motorsport folk. But you can see the field continuing under caution at this point. All lined up. They're ready to go. It's just the cleanup that takes time in turn number one, and the damage to the tire wall as well. You have to make sure that the track is safe.
Yeah, absolutely. When you do hit the tire wall and you move tires around, it just now leaves a gap if that happens again for the next guy to have even more damage.
And the drivers want to be ready. That's why they're swerving side to side. They're trying to keep some heat in their Michelin tire. We are getting word from the FEL Motorsport team that we will finish this race under caution, unable to get this race going in the short amount of time we have left, and that's really one of the variables that you have to play around when you race a timed race, a 40-minute timed race. So Terry Dale making the call there. And there he is, an onboard shot with Travis Hill. If the race ends as it sits right now, he will be crowned the first ever TC Canada champion in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada.
I'm sure there's a big smile under that visor there.
Yeah, he's got the dark visor closed, but there is the checkered flag. The overall win goes to Marco Signoretti. Gary Kwok will come home the winner in the TC Canada class, but there is your champion in the TC Canada group, Travis Hill. So he'll get a wave to the crowd. We'll take a quick break. We'll chat with your winners when we return. Marco Signoretti has climbed out of his Multimatic Motorsport Mustang, and like he has done for the last 11 races, he has won the Celebration of Motorsport event here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, en route to the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada GT4 title. Not a bad way to celebrate your 24th birthday.
Yes, and he and the team haven't been out of place all weekend, all season long, in fact, and he's going to be the future of Canadian motorsport for many years to come.
You can see so calm, so cool at every stop of the way here in the GT4 class. As a matter of fact, an undefeated season here in 2021. Let's head down to the Victory Lane celebrations in Todd Lewis. Todd?
Out of the car, ready to celebrate a win and a championship, Marco Signoretti, another textbook drive.
Yeah, thank you. Really happy about the championship. Obviously, big thank you to Multimatic Motorsports and all the boys for the support they've given me all year. I've always had a really good car, and that's so crucial in this kind of racing.
Competition was a little closer in this final event.
Yeah, they're always there when it's a bit damp, and I think, I might have cooked the rears a bit at the beginning because I was really struggling for a high-speed rear, but that's on me, right? So, no, it was really enjoyable, and obviously healthy pressure because you need that. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Even in victory, a learning moment for Marco Signoretti, but a big congratulations to Gary Kwok and the entire M&S Racing team on their TC Canada win here today. A tough break for the 45 of Montour. It was closing in on Signoretti. Could have been interesting if it had stayed green here today. But let's take a look at the final results. There you see Travis Hill coming home in 3rd spot, and then the 3 Atrels, Bob, Connor, and Quinn. Nick Loymans in 7th spot. Fareed Ali rounding out the top 10 in the TWOth Autosport Audi. Let's head down trackside, check in with Todd with today's 3rd place finisher.
Bob, you find yourself on the podium here. You had a lot of action and activity out there today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an exciting race. It got a little bit consistent throughout the middle of it. And then, believe it or not, the GT4 Mustang slowed down rapidly. So LP gathered them up. I gathered up LP. And I feel sorry that LP got tapped, but I was on the inside of him going into 8. I tried a couple on the outside. He pushed me off. I was on the inside, and he didn't give me any racing room. It was totally a racing incident because I've raced with him most of the year really well. I wish it wouldn't have ended that way, but, you know, it's racing. My job's to try to pass.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So there's the explanation from Bob Atrell, and you take a look at the final point standings, 57 points. The difference between LP Montour and Travis Hill. Bob Atrell will come home 4th in the championship, along with Connor and Quinn. Marco Cerrone down in 7th position. But your champion in the TC Canada class in the first ever FEL Motorsports Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin is Travis Hill.
And this TWOth organization prepares excellent vehicles week in and week out. They're a very classy organization, multiple divisions, multiple cars rolling out every weekend. Very good to them. Excellent job.
Multiple times in victory lane, whether it be wet or dry, you could always spot that number 26 at the front of the field, the Audi, the class of the entire field through the 2021 season here this year. And that makes Travis Hill your champion. And he is standing by with our Todd Lewis. Todd?
Here's your 2021 TC Canada champion, Travis Hill. You did what you had to do this weekend.
That's exactly it. We've been practicing our math for the last couple of weeks leading up to this weekend. We know what we need to do, just try to play it safe. LP is a hell of a competitor. It's really unfortunate to see what happened to him in turn 8. We fought really hard on track, and he's a gentleman off track, so hats off to him for a great season. But this Shopify Audi RS3 LMS did a hell of a job. I'm really happy with the entire TWOth Autosport team. Really happy to bring this home for the guys.
I think there's going to be a celebration tonight.
Just a little one.
Today's SCCC event on TSN has been brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward. By Fab, for the love of the road. And by Hyundai. Thumbs up all around, and a big thumbs up from us as well, because what a season it has been. The first ever FEL Motorsports Sports Car Championship Canada season, and what a thrill to watch this series launch and grow.
Pretty cool deal doing this, and thanks for having me. Congratulations to the series.
Well, thanks very much for being here and providing your insight as a Canadian Motorsport Hall of Famer, both inside and outside these cars, behind the scenes in the organizational aspect of this series as well. But it was the drivers, the stars, all season long. What a series, from the drop of the green to the drop of the checker. Till next year, we'll see you next time.
Going down.